I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm not losing weight. In fact, I'm gaining weight. I don't really feel so healthy. What is it about the foods and what changes can I make and what things can I look for? So I wanted to cover that with you guys a little bit today, okay? So what I did was I just put out some random cans of 2 different types of beans here, some summer sausage, tomato sauce, some different seasoning, and then 2 different styles of corn. And I just want to kind of explain to you what it is that I want you to look for so that you're making better health choices when you're at the grocery store. Let's start with corn, for example, okay? Now, I will always tell you, when it comes to buying foods, try to avoid canned foods. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's beans, some kind of tomato sauce or pasta sauce, corn, green beans, or anything else. Because anytime that it's in a can, there is tons of salt and sugar and preservatives inside of here. And that's the reason why this can sit on your shelf for years, and you can open it years later and still eat it, okay? Now, if you're going through the coronavirus and you're going through the Great Depression, well, you don't want to buy cans because it might be the only food you got left. But if you're not going through the coronavirus and you want to eat healthy and lose weight and feel good, and you want to watch your diabetes and your hypertension and high blood pressure and all the other health problems that you probably have going on, avoid the canned items. Why am I saying that? Now, if you turn this around for a second, in this area is what the nutritional facts is. It tells you how many calories are in there, how much sodium is in there, how much sugar is in there, etc. Okay? Now, this is just golden sweet whole kernel corn. So in other words, regular corn, okay, in a can. This has 300 milligrams of sodium and another 7 grams of sugar on this label, okay? Now let's compare this. So if you're buying this in comparison to frozen corn, okay? If you're going to buy green beans or corn or veggies, anytime you obviously buy them fresh if you can. Fresh is always the best. There's nothing added to them. There's nothing on them. Your next choice going to be frozen, guys. Okay? Canned is only during pandemics, epidemics, coronavirus, Great Depressions. All right? If you turn this corn around for a second, the sodium level on here, if you're able to zoom in and see this, this is 0 milligrams. Now, I just told you in the other canned corn, there's 300 milligrams in here. And to be honest, I'm surprised I found 300 milligrams because usually it's 600 or 700 milligrams of sodium per 1 container of this, okay? You're getting the same amount of corn in this bag with no sugar and no salt in comparison to what you got in here with all of that added on there. Let's go to beans, for example. And again, I want you to understand, I'm not talking about beans versus corn. I'm talking about anything that is canned has sugar and salt on it. Anything that's packaged in boxes of cereal, for example. It's the reason why kids now have diabetes, whereas 30, 40 years ago, our children didn't have diabetes. It's because of the salt and the sugar and the preservatives that are being put into there. So let's compare these 2 items for a second. Different types of beans, but that's not the reason why one has more salt than the other. This, for example, has 410 milligrams of salt. So what a lot of companies are doing is on a different can, they're saying it has low sodium. Now, low sodium or no sodium, in fact, you're probably never going to find the words no sodium because there's always sodium in here. You're using the words low sodium. The reason why they can do that is because the United States government does not have any regulations on the food industry. And so on this sodium, there's a 140 milligrams of sodium in this can. Now, obviously, that's less than what I just showed you in this one. And it's not because it's a different type of bean. I just randomly grabbed these two different cans. There's less sodium in here than this one, but 140 milligrams just for beans. That's a lot of sodium, guys. So if you combine the beans with the hamburger or the hot dogs or the pasta or the fish or whatever it is that you're making, and you add up 140 milligrams plus 200 milligrams of whatever, plus you're using ketchup, plus you're using mustard, plus you're using whatever sauce, you're at 1,000 milligrams of salt in one meal. I'm not talking about in one day, I'm talking about in one meal. It's too much. And so when you're talking about how much salt and how much sugar is in your foods, this is the reason why everybody in a westernized world, United States, Europe, and in the westernized worlds, we have hypertension, also known as high blood pressure, and diabetes with everybody. It's because what you guys are eating has too much salt and sugar on it. If you make healthy pasta, for example, and you buy anything that's in a can, again, I'm not going to belabor the point, but again, sodium. 640 milligrams of salt in one can. Let's talk about seasonings for a second. You can buy a lot of seasonings to season your foods that you're making for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. But be careful with what the seasonings are. Usually if it's a pre-mixed seasoning like this, it has not just salt, but sugar in it, as well as a bunch of other corn starches. So for example, let me just read this to you. The ingredients on this. First one, chili pepper. That's okay. Next one, corn maltodextrin. That's a filler. And that's the reason why people are getting diabetes, is because of all the fillers and the sugars they're adding to it. The next one, salt. This has 300 milligrams of salt. Okay? And that's only for 2 teaspoons of this. And most people are using a lot more than 2 teaspoons to flavor your food that you're making. Okay? Summer sausage. I don't know very many people that buy things like this, and we all know that this isn't too healthy for you. But again, sodium, 660 milligrams. So the point that I'm trying to make, and that doesn't count the sugars and the preservatives, the flavoring that's added, citric acid, dextrose, sodium nitrate. So the point that I'm trying to make is that our country has a problem with diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, being overweight. Everyone wants to lose weight, and you guys are very quick at buying a $29.99 video online about doing yoga and trying to lose weight. Guys, there's no magic pill and there's no magic diet program. If you eat better, you're going to feel better. If you intake less sodium and less sugar, your diabetes is going to go down. Your blood pressure is going to regulate, and you're going to lose weight, and you're going to feel better. And that's what I want to tell you guys today. Bottom line is, when you're going to the grocery store, try to buy fresh fruits and vegetables and fresh meats and cheeses. And if you're going to buy things like this, try to avoid the canned items. If you can't buy fresh, buy frozen. And if you absolutely need to buy something in a can, turn the things around, please, and read not just what's in the nutritional fact label, but somewhere down here it's going to say ingredients. And you can read every single ingredient that's in here, okay? So I hope that helps. Please take care of yourself. I'm Dr. Joe Brown. Your health is in your hands.